Welcome to another episode of the Blue Crew, a New York Rangers podcast on the Believe Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jonny Lazarus, joined by my good friend, Cody Frankel. Hope everyone had a great Martin Luther King Jr. weekend. We got a great interview today with Sean Avery, but before I go any further, I'm going to send it over to my pal, Cody Frankel. Cody, what's going on, dude? How was your weekend?
What up? It was pretty good, except for the game on Sunday kind of sucked. I was there. But no, all in all, it was a good weekend. I'm hyped for this interview with Sean. It's a good one. And yeah, man, that's it. That's it.
I also want to send a quick apology to anyone who was going to come to my event on Sunday. We had to postpone it last week. I don't know if everyone saw. We refunded everybody that bought a ticket, but
I didn't get refunded.
You didn't buy a ticket because you're a scumbag and a shit friend.
No, I bought it.
Oh, you actually did? You didn't get refunded?
No, I didn't get refunded. Can you Venmo me?
You definitely got refunded. Did you even buy a ticket?
No, I didn't buy a ticket.
Yeah, I didn't think you did. You scumbag.
I could have had you going for a while, and
yeah, you could have.
I wonder if I could have convinced you to Venmo me.
It was very stressful. I probably would have Venmoed you. But aside from Cody's immaturity, just wanted to thank everybody that was going to come support. We're looking into another date to try to make this thing happen. There was unfortunate ice conditions where one side of the ice kind of caved in, and if someone ran to the boards the wrong way, the whole ice could have cracked, and it just wasn't safe to play hockey on. So instead of stressing out the day of, I was kind of just like, you know what, let's just call it, because the worst thing that could have happened is someone at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the middle of this thing ruins the ice, and then the whole thing is kind of ruined. So
dude, the ice would have turned into like a sinkhole if it just went through, and like it would have been crazy, especially if it was you that got hit and just like
sinkhole DeMaio
went into a sinkhole, and that was the demise of Jonny Lazarus.
Yeah, but I got a lot of the jokes, like the Fire Fest of hockey festivals or whatever the jokes were, which is understandable because we hyped this thing up, and then I like literally posted on Instagram like two teams left, like, but make sure you get your team in, and then like 12 hours later, oh, sorry, but we're postponing it.
That's the worst, dude. In college, there was this not rival fraternity, but another fraternity who like made this. They were very new at URI, and they just made it on campus, and they somehow got like Afrojack to come.
That's sick.
No, we had URI had honestly the best concerts. Like we got everybody known to man. So, but whatever. Anyway, so they got Afrojack to come and hyped it up. I mean, I kid you not, they like wrote on chalk throughout the campus, like on the floors, like posters on the wall, like went with microphones around campus, like just ridiculous. Dude, it got canceled, bro. Everybody for the rest of, and I think this was maybe my sophomore year. So like 3 more years of me being there, I think everybody I know just like shat on them for
dude, rightfully so. Like that's kind of how I felt having to postpone, but it sucks. Good times. We're looking for another date, so hopefully we figure that out. But yeah, I mean, do you want to dive into some Ranger stuff?
Yeah. I think we have to start with the Stars game, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm just gonna say off the bat before you make fun of me. I was out with work people for happy hour, and I only saw the last 5 minutes of the game and overtime, and I was fucking hammered. So I don't really have much to say about the game aside from those last 5 minutes. So you just kicked it off, and we'll talk about obviously that crazy ending.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great game. Jonny gets really defensive when I call him out for not watching the game.
Well, I also told you, I was like, I actually haven't watched the game. I literally just got home.
Yeah, but no, it was a good game, man. Like, their goalie looked good. Our goalie looked good. It was a lot of shots back and forth. The goal that's squeaked by Igor can't even complain. And then, yeah, I mean, there's nothing else to it. Like it looked like, you watched those last 5 minutes, but I mean, 2 minutes left when we pulled the goalie, things obviously weren't going our way, whatever. Time's winding down, 20 seconds. It looked like 99 out of 100 times any other game where we're just going to lose, obviously aside from the Ryan Lindgren goal against the Sabres last year.
That was also that was a tied game though.
Yes, that's true. Mm-hmm. But, I feel like 99 out of 100 times we're just like, all right, we played a good game. We lost. And man, I mean, if you want to talk about no quit, holy cow, that, every Panarin had the puck, and I guarantee you 9 out of 10 people were screaming, shoot the puck, shoot the puck. You don't know what you're doing, because I feel like Panarin always gets yelled at for that. Dude, he just like, it got kicked out to Miller. Miller took the shot. It got blocked. And then just to have the courage to just shoot it right back a second time, I think is huge, especially for a defenseman.
Well, he had no other option. There was 1 second
I
left.
know. But dude, you say that, but like 4 out of 5 overtime games, I feel like with time winding down, we don't get a shot off. Like,
well, dude, honestly, I'm still a little critical of that goal because, you know, until like 9 seconds left, Panarin just kind of threw the puck at the net from the corner, but they didn't really get many shots in the last like 45 seconds.
well,
Like they were being a little too cute looking for that perfect shot. And then it
Yeah.
got to like 9 seconds left. Panarin just throws it toward the net and the puck just like kind of bounces back to Miller, luckily, you know?
Yeah. I mean, that's true, but
It's not how they drew it up.
It was, but it was unreal. And I mean, the shot was on the money from Key. And then in overtime, we dominated from start to finish. I mean, I don't think we maybe lost the puck for a second and a half and then just got it back from that pick the pocket. I think it was Mika who picked the pocket, which was huge. And yeah, I mean, it was just great. Like it was great. That game gave you all the feels from like pure low to high love of hockey. And I mean, I loved it.
Yeah, and that overtime goal, like, you know, similar to what we're going to talk about, that Ryan Lindgren goal from last year against Buffalo, you know, it's obviously coming up because those are the two, like, you know, buzzer beater goals in recent history. But
yeah,
Adam Fox, man, you got to talk about how well he reads the play. You know, Foxy understands that there's some open space in that little scramble with Zibanejad and Panarin, and he comes in, gets the puck, and then outweights, makes that great patient move to outweight Ottinger and throw it in that empty net. But Fox knows too, like, hey, I'm the last man back. Like, I got to be sure that if I'm jumping into this, I'm at least getting a shot on net. Like we saw it, you know, we've seen it so many times with Adam where he'll read that play so well. Like, you know, he's an aggressive offensive defenseman, but he also understands that as the last guy back, like if he doesn't score that goal, the chances are that Dallas is coming down in like a 2-on-0 or breakaway. So, you know, got to give kudos to him because he made that read to join the play and he obviously ends up finishing it. And, you know, not a lot of defensemen really have the balls to do that in an overtime scenario. So,
totally.
You know, great on Foxy to read that play. And yeah, man, the videos.
Not only that, dude, but that goal was fucking sick. Bro.
Yeah, it's so nasty.
That goal was disgusting.
So nasty. And like Panarin selling harder than Fox. Like you got to love that too. That was awesome. But, you know, like you said, just there aren't many buildings in professional sports that have that loud of a roar, you know, halfway through a season in the regular season like that. Like I was watching those videos all day the next day. Like it was so awesome to watch.
Yeah. Well, you know, what's crazy. It's kind of like you can see both sides of the coin because I was at the Habs game and I mean, you could literally hear a pin drop. I mean, it was dead silent for 85% of the game. And it sucks because, you know, I went with my whole family and it was just like a terrible game to be at. Yeah. It was
just a night ruiner.
The team was flat and, you know, transitioning a little bit to this game. In the first, we didn't play that well. In the second, I thought we played fantastic. And then in the third, we were just terrible. You know, I mean, it's tough. I understand we definitely had some sickness going around, right? Like Kreider didn't play. Obviously, Gauthier didn't play. Panarin and I think Hedl, like, were both sick with the stomach bug too, but played anyways. So, you know, we definitely had some form of dullness and sickness going on the team, but you can't be giving up 2 points to the Habs, man. I mean, the last place team in their division, you gotta find a way to come away with 2 points there. And if not 2 points, at least go to OT and lose or something. Because those are 2 points. Like in a couple months, you're going to be wishing you had those back if those 2 points come to bite you. And this is a perfect game. Like Igor played unreal yesterday. I mean, he was making kick saves, stick saves, any kind of save you can imagine he made yesterday. And I feel bad for him because he deserved the win yesterday. There's no doubt about it.
So to that point, I think a big cause of concern right now for the Rangers, and I know Kreider's out. I'm just talking, you know, I'm following up to your game analysis here against Montreal, but the Rangers' power play has been terrible.
Abysmal.
I think they're 1 for their last 14.
Yeah, it's bad.
They haven't scored in 4 straight games, and I saw a crazy stat on Twitter this past week, and I hate doing this because I like to credit where I see stuff, but I actually just forgot who said this. The Rangers' last overtime power play goal was the Winter Classic when JT Miller scored. And
Holy
they've had a lot of power plays in overtime, I feel like, this season. Not even, in the past couple of years, but this season alone.
yeah.
And the power play they had against Montreal, or no, not Montreal. They had a power play against Dallas, I think, or maybe the overtime. Was there a different overtime where their power play in overtime was just terrible? Who was the shootout
Rangers,
again?
yeah, dude, it was the game before. It was the
There was a shootout recently, right?
yeah. It was
it Minnesota? It was Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Yeah.
Minnesota. We had a power play.
That was terrible.
And no, dude, didn't we have a power play against the Devils too? And it was horrible.
In overtime?
Yeah, because we lost to the Devils 4-3 in OT too. I think it happened twice.
That sounds right.
Because
oh my God.
didn't we win against? No, dude, we won against Minnesota on the power play
in a shootout. No, in a shootout.
Oh my God, dude, it's all blended together.
Panarin backhand shootout.
Yeah, you're right. It's automatic.
Also, we should say that we are recording prior to the Columbus Blue Jackets game, just for context. I'm also watching the last 12 seconds of the Knicks game right now. It's tied at 108 apiece.
Get your priorities straight, bro.
If you hear me react right now, it's because I'm watching the Knicks. In other areas for the Rangers,
Well, I wanna jump in there for a second because and going back to Kreider a little bit, I don't know if you agree with this, but to me, it has never been more evident that this team needs a scorer. I think we even going on the power play, we really do go as Mika and Kreider take us. I mean, the fact that they're the only two guys on this team with over 15 goals at this point in the season, and I think third might be Panarin with 11. It's a problem. It's a problem. And I was looking at some of these other contenders. I was looking at Boston. I was looking at the Leafs. I was looking at Tampa. A lot of these other teams have 4 or 5 guys with over 15 goals right now. And to me, it's just so evident this team needs to make a move for a scorer. And that is their one glaring missing piece to me. And if somehow Drury can just craft something up and get the right guy in here who blends in perfectly and is just essentially a power forward of the NHL, just scoring goals. I mean, it's just mind blowing to me. It's mind blowing to me without these two guys making moves and making noise in a game. This team's just flat. You want to hear a name who the Rangers could use, who I don't think I've ever mentioned to you before, who would fit in perfectly in terms of scoring goals? Bo Horvat, man.
I knew you were going to say Bo Horvat.
Dude, he has 30 goals right now.
Yeah, he's on fire.
He's a leader. Obviously, he's the captain on the Canucks. And I mean,
he's definitely on the move. He's going somewhere.
I mean, to me, that's a guy right there. And I don't know what it would cost to get him. Probably a lot. I mean, obviously, I've bitched about Tarasenko for a long time. And then there's other guys like Timo Meier too, who would fit in really well. But, obviously the cap's a concern, whatever. But dude, Bo Horvat to me is, I feel like this would be a no brainer type of move if we can get it done. And the guy has 30 goals. He's on pace for over 50 goals this season. He's the kind of guy you want to slide in there on that top line or second line and just be an automatic goal. I don't know.
Well, here's the issue. Bo Horvat plays center. So
that is true. But we've said this from the start. If somebody's going the other way, it's going to be Hedl. I mean, I think it's a lot, as much as I want to keep Hedl now. And I think, this kid deserves a new contract. There's absolutely no doubt about it to me. I ran through the numbers the other day with my buddy Adam, who
yep.
and they can't afford all three. It's just it's impossible. So they need to. Keandre's a done deal at this point. He's a done deal. He's coming back for sure. And we spoke with NRD about it. He doesn't think Laffy's getting moved. He thinks it's a non-starter. Fine. If that's the case, Hedl's the odd man out. There's nothing we can do about it. There's no way this team can just randomly get this cat and re-sign Hedl unless Trouba Kreider's move. That's the only way, and that's obviously not happening. Fans can say what they want about Trouba. We just named him captain this year. He's not getting moved. It's just not happening.
No, I agree. Also, RJ Barrett's had the sickest fucking game tying dunk with 0.6 seconds left, and I held in my excitement. Huh?
Did they win or what?
I just said game tying dunk.
Oh, okay.
But to your point, do you want to go into fan questions? Because we have a lot, and I feel like a lot of the questions that we're going to talk about, will be answered through these.
As long as there's a ton of trade questions.
Definitely our most popular week of fan questions that we've gotten, like, I think 19 to 20 of them, and we have to narrow it down. So apologies if we don't say your question. Okay. We try to get to all the good ones. So we'll start out here with Rami Lavi, and this was, relevant to what Cody and I were talking about a minute ago. But how much do you think no Kreider contributed to the lack of scoring the last 2 games?
A lot. I mean, he's, like I said, he's one of the 2 guys on this team who scores goals. And yeah, you have a couple guys who have over 10 goals, but when you only have 2 players you really can rely on to be shoot first, pass later, it shows. It shows when one of them's missing. I think that's like all I got to say on that.
I don't think it has so much to do with the lack of scoring. Like we said, I think what was 2 games ago against the Stars when they played Jake Ottinger, has been one of the best goalies in the league. Like, whether Kreider's in that game or not, I don't think the result is that much different. Mm-hmm. A game like Montreal, I think you definitely need a guy like Kreider because, like we said, he is a leader, and he's, maybe a guy who's just going to even say something and wake the team up and maybe even just get a scoring chance to help momentum. So I think Kreider in a game like that, definitely a huge absence. Okay. And you could say the same in the Stars game, but I think the Stars game is a little less just because, there's not much you can do against Jake Ottinger, who's been, absolutely outstanding this season. But in a game like Montreal, like, you need your goal scorers. Like, there's no reason why the Rangers should lose 2-1 to Montreal on home ice. Like, there's no excuse for that.
Agreed.
Let's go into the next one. Sammy Hockey 36, and this has to do with Montreal also. Was Cole Caulfield the steal of the 2019 draft? Also, when are we trading Blais? So, Cody, I feel like you want to take the Blais part first and then go into Caulfield.
Yeah, I mean, what can you get for Sammy Blais at this point? Like, what can you get for a guy who's played 50-plus games and hasn't scored a goal?
I'd say similar to the Reeves trade, like a 5th-round pick.
I was going to say no. I was going to say similar to what we just did with Lashushin, or however you say his name. You put him on waivers, and some team's going to pick him up. Like, that's what you do for a guy who has no goals. I don't know. I don't. He really doesn't contribute that much, and it's no slight to him. I mean, even though it is a slight at him, like, I just don't think you're going to get much of any, like, maybe a 6th-round pick, 7th-round pick. I mean, I don't know.
There's no answer.
Yeah, that's it.
There's really not. But to the first part of the question about Cole Caulfield, he was the 15th overall pick in that 2019 draft. Just to remind everybody, the first 3 was Jack Hughes, Capo Caco, Kirby Doc. There's some good names up there. But, like,
Turcotte.
Number 8, I think, to the Oilers was Philip Broberg, a defenseman. Mm-hmm. Zegras was 9. I'd take Caulfield over Zegras for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Caulfield, he was also drafted before he had that incredible Hobie Baker season, but obviously he's like a scout's nightmare. He's not very tall. He's not the fastest. He's not the strongest, but man, he can score goals like at will. If he's left wide open, like, he will put the puck in the back of the net. He's had 26 goals this year, 10 assists. So not putting up incredible numbers.
I don't know if I'd take him over Zegras, honestly.
Really?
Yeah, dude, Zegras has 32 points. Caulfield, I think, has 35. I mean, I know Caulfield obviously has more goals, but I don't know. I mean, Zegras broke out last year, and he had 23 goals, 38 assists, 61 points. I think he's only getting better.
Would you rather have Zegras on this team or Caulfield?
Zegras, dude. I think.
Really?
Oh, well, okay.
You're saying we need a goal scorer?
No. Okay. On this team right now, who fits our needs at this exact moment, yes, I would take Cole Caulfield. If you're asking me in 2019, the kind of guy we needed on this team, I would say Zegras. So I think it's a little, wishy-washy, whatever, but either one of them I would take on this team right now. There were a couple other good late guys in that draft too, right? I'm trying to think who else.
Connor McMichael with Washington, he's been pretty solid. Peyton Krebs, Alex Newhook, Spencer Knight, Matt Boldy, who just signed that big deal today.
That's Boldy I was thinking of. He was pretty good. Oh no, you know who I was thinking of too? Tomasino on Nashville. He's sick. Where do you think
Caulfield goes?
No, I was gonna say, where do you think Kako goes if you did a redraft?
Like right now? I still see all
think
the
he'd
upside.
Be top 10. I still think he'd be top 10.
Yeah. I still see all the upside to Kako. Like,
Same. Agreed. I think he'd go around 8th, 7th or 8th, something like that.
it also depends who's drafting. Like, there are a lot of people who hate on him, and there's a lot of people who
Fair.
still love him. So, like,
Fair.
that's gonna be hit or miss. But
Yeah, I
let's
see
go
the
to the next
potential,
one.
Is this team good? I mean, I think we can touch on it if you want. I think this team is good. I think this team is good, and I think this team is very fucking good. And I think they're one piece away from truly being an S tier team. And I think that's a goal scorer. I think if you know you see the upside on guys like Kako, you see what Heedle's doing, you see how good Keandre and Braden Schneider are becoming. You hope Laugh gets there, and you have your stars. And Igor's back to prime form. He's playing unbelievable. Panarin's playing unbelievable. Mika, Jonny said, he only has 6 even strength goals. I think those even strength goals will come. I think he has the deadliest one-timer in the league, top 2 at least. And I think this team has so much upside. I think the definition is going to be, is this team great? And I think that purely relies on Chris Drury come trade deadline. And that's going to really show you what you have with this team, come playoffs. But I think absolutely this team's a good team.
So just for a little stats, and this question, actually want to credit the person who asked. This came from Pink Leonardo. I think this is a new question asker. But the Rangers right now, as we're recording, sit in 11th in the entire NHL. So, like, I'd say that's a good team. But to your point, I wouldn't say this is a great team. They're not very consistent. And I think that's the biggest issue, is finding that consistency. And that's something that, Gerard Gallant.
That's what I said. We're not great yet. That's what I said. Yeah.
And that's something that, Gerard Gallant has hyped on, is that he needs to find the consistency. And that's why he makes all these lineup changes. Because, I mean, listen, that's not going to help the case for consistency, I don't think. But, that's been the theme, I think, of this season, is just finding that consistent level, which they had last year. So, yes, team is good, not great. The next one is from Pete Maloney, 82. Do you think Keandre Miller and Fox should be on the same line instead of Fox Lindgren?
Yeah, so I definitely want to touch on this one, because I was going to say something to you before, but then obviously saw this question. Keandre Miller and Adam Fox could be a staple on this team for the next 15 years. And I could see both of these two players being in their blue shirts uniforms for their entire career. If we lock up Keandre and decide to pursue that route, I think these two kids are incredible. Quite frankly, I think they're only getting better, which is insane. Keandre still has so much upside offensively, and you're starting to finally see it. I think he has like 7 points in his last 6 games or something like that. He's getting there, and obviously we know what Foxy can do. I can't think of another like recent Rangers comparison to having 2 D players this good. Like, I don't know. Like, who would you compare this to? I think the last like esque type of players this well, like Leach when he was paired with Patrick. Obviously, Fox is going to get Leach comparisons because he's doing things Leach has done, and Keandre is not as good offensively as Patrick was for the Rangers, but he can get there. I mean, he can definitely get there, and he for sure is as good defensively. So like, I could we ever see these two paired up? Like, I hope so. I mean, I think Keandre has done everything right. I think he absolutely deserves to have that chance to top pair. That being said, coaches in our lifetime, as we, from when we were kids to now, like watching the Rangers, I feel like they've always gone for balance as opposed to, top dogs and attacking at once. So like, you saw it with, you saw it before Fox was a Ranger. You see it now when Fox is a Ranger. And I just feel like they like to have Keandre on a different pair for balance purposes, as opposed to like putting Keandre and Fox together. That being said, I think if you put them together, they would be absolutely electric.
To your point, I think the only problem is if you have Fox and Miller playing together and you have like Lindgren and Trouba playing together, Fox and Miller are by far the 2 best defensemen at breaking the puck out of the defensive zone. So
yeah,
like they're the only 2 that can really, make that simple play to get it out. Keandre does it with his legs, and Fox does it with his IQ and his passing ability. Like, I'd put Keandre at one of the top defensemen in the league at being able to skate the puck out of his own zone. So, like, with that said, I just don't think it makes sense to have them together because then you're just sewering that next line with Lingard and Trouba, who, let's face it, aren't the most skilled players. They're not really going to break the puck out themselves like Fox or Keandre could. So, I thought you actually broke it down really well. And, a lot of it has to do with balance. Obviously, if Fox and Miller were a pair, it'd be pretty fucking awesome to watch, but it just doesn't make sense for the depth of the team.
Yeah, and also I have something to say because do you know Jay Fresh? The
I've seen him, yeah,
dude,
big chart guy.
Yeah, fuck that guy's charts, okay? Because he had, and granted, this was like a month ago, but still, he had Keandre Miller as the 54th best NHL defenseman. If you can find 53 other NHL defensemen better than Keandre Miller, I dare you to Instagram message me all 53 and I'll fucking buy you a steak dinner because that's bullshit. Okay. That chart is BS. Keandre Miller is without a doubt a top 40, top 35 defenseman in the league, in my opinion. And I think his upside is easily, he could be top 20 if the offensive ability gets there. I mean, the way this guy locks down players defensively is insane. I don't know if you saw against the Habs. They were up 2-1 yesterday. Or
breakaway.
Yeah, and Keandre hunted him down and stopped. Like, other guys can't do that. I don't even know if Fox would be able to do that.
Keandre did also make a couple mistakes though in that game.
Sure, but we don't talk about that, John. No, but
like that Caulfield goal was kind of on Keandre.
Well, you know what? I'm just saying, I think this kid is an absolute stud. And, I'm a little upset I got Lafreniere's jersey instead of his, but we won't talk about that here. What we'll talk about is Keandre is legit. And
yeah, no, I agree with what you said.
And yeah, that's all I have to say. So fuck that guy's charts.
This one's all for Cody from NY Rocky 93. Lots of talk in the BY chat, which is Blue York, about Miller's ascension. What's the midseason prediction from CF2?
I mean, to me, it's a no-brainer. You got to lock him up long-term. I mean, do you get him at 6 years, $5 million per? 6 times 5, 5 times.
You know better than me.
I think that would be, I think that would be the move. I did the math for those asking, and after replacing everybody who's going to be gone this offseason, calling up, let's say, Othman and, Cooley or someone else, whatever, and all that jazz, we have between Lafreniere, Keandre, and Hedl about $8.7 million. So that being said, if you give $5 million-ish to Keandre, you have about, 3.5 to 3.7, and they're not going to use all their caps. So let's call it like 3.3 to 3.5 for either Lafreniere or Hedl. So that being said, Hedl's not signing a $3.3 million deal. I think he's easily played himself into, 4+ at least. So yeah, I'm going to say 6 years, $5 million per for Key the man.
And while we're on the Keandre Miller topic, next question from Perry Cunavelis: Lindgren buzzer beater or Miller buzzer beater?
I gotta say Miller personally.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, it was sick, and it's also more fresh in your mind. And if it was against a way better team than the Sabres, so it's.
And I also think it was like a game tying goal.
Yeah.
Or like tying a game, I feel like is way more exciting than almost winning a game, if that makes sense, because you go from that low to high.
Yeah. Yeah. And sending it to overtime is like,
And the way they won it in overtime too obviously helps. But I think that Buffalo game, it was more of a oh my God, like a shock than like a holy shit, Well,
also the fact that it was a game tying goal, I was so amped that I didn't even care if we lost and still walked away with the point. I was just so happy. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Keandre.
I agree. Let's go to the next one from Legendary 74. Would you consider a trade involving Laffy for Wright? Unite Wright and Othman. Othman's not even here yet, but I know.
I mean, all right. There's two ways to look at this. I like to think Lafreniere still has so much upside. That being said, I don't know if he's gonna hit that upside as a New York Ranger. I hope he does. I really do. I think right now many people probably would say they would trade Laffy for Wright. I don't think any Kraken fan would say I'm trading Wright for Laffy. So if you want to,
That's
if
true.
you want to switch it up a little bit and kind of look at from their point of view, like I think it's a non-starter. I don't think they would ever do that. That being said, yeah, that would be sick. But also, I really want Lafreniere to be good, and I'm I have my fingers crossed that this kid's going to break out for us, and I'm really hoping he is. So I'm riding with my man for now, and I'm saying no, just because I am saying no.
I agree, and I'm also going to stick to we don't need like another young center. I feel like,
Yeah.
like Shane Wright, like he could be a great player, but I think the center position right now is somewhat established for the Rangers. It's more about building that, right wing weakness and strengthening, like you said, that
If you want to give me Matty
secondary
Beniers,
scoring.
I'll take that young center.
I mean, yeah, like there's obviously some different, scenarios where we would take a young center. Oh my God,
I don't see how.
Knicks,
I don't. Sorry, go ahead.
Jalen Brunson for 3. Oh,
Okay, all right.
fucking miss, and they just
Hey,
lost.
Johnny, no one cares.
Sorry.
All right, no, it's good. I was gonna say I don't see how Shane Wright's gonna be better than Matty Beniers in his first year.
No,
Like
I don't think
that
so.
kid
Beniers
is
tearing it up.
dude. That kid is unreal.
Yeah, he's on fire.
And that's just another like example. I feel like if Lafreniere was on the Kraken, he would be fucking tearing it up too, because he would be the guy they look at. Like
They're pretty good right now.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, they don't really have any other stars. I mean, they have a couple good players, but they don't really have any other stars. So I'm just saying, but all right, next.
The last one, and this is a great one, and I'm curious who you're going to say. From Bam Daniels, if you could inject Gabrick, St. Louis, Drury, or Richards into this team, who would you pick?
Okay, so a couple questions for you. One, this team right now, like today, what we need, or like this team in general?
What the fuck? What?
So like this team right now needs a scorer. So I'm obviously going to go with the best scorer of the 4, but I'm saying, or do you just mean like the best player for this team, for the next 10 years? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, like, well, you don't think 10 years, maybe like 3.
Big picture, bro. Big picture.
That's
a
huge picture.
Okay. Fair. That's a tough one. All right. And I have one more question for you. Are we talking about prime Marty St. Louis or Rangers Marty St. Louis?
Rangers for all 4 of them.
Okay. So Rangers for all 4 of them. To me, it's a no-brainer. It's Marian Gaborik.
That's what I was thinking also. I think he just adds to the team speed too. Like, think about how fast the game is right now. Like, Gaborik is by far the fastest of the 4 of them.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going ever, I would say Marty St. Louis.
I was also thinking, well, I mean, he had the best career of all 4 of them, I would say. But like, a part of me was thinking Drury too, because Drury killed penalties. He was a great power play guy, like a pretty strong center. Like,
it's different because like we had Gaborik early on, so like we saw how freaking good he was, and it's
40 goals,
yeah. So that's a really good question, but yeah, I mean, I would say Gaborik. If we could have Gaborik on this team right now, I truly do believe this team would win the cup. So
I don't think they would win the cup, but I think they'd be much better.
Oh my God! So who do they need besides Connor McDavid to win the cup, Jonathan?
They could get Patrick Kane, and I'm still not, or whoever, like any left winger right now, or right winger, or defenseman that we need to add. But I watched the Boston Bruins play, and there's no way they would beat that team in a 7-game series.
I disagree, and I'm going to tell you why. Because I think the Boston Bruins are significantly overperforming right now. It's the same team as last year, okay? Number 1. 2, Ullmark, he's having an unbelievable season. I just don't think he can keep that up. I don't think he can keep it up.
That's what everyone said about Igor last year.
Well, sure, but Ullmark's been in the league a couple of years. I mean, I don't know, man. I look at their stats. I look at their team. Like, Pasta's carrying that team right now. I think he has like 60 points, and after that, the next closest is like 30 points. Like, dude, he's carrying that team right now, and Pasta's unreal, don't get me wrong, but I just don't think they can keep it up. And a perfect example, and you can relate to this, and I can relate to this, I'm a big Yankee fan. The Yankees were on fucking pace to be the best team ever the first half of the season, and then they fizzled out, and they still finished with 99 wins. They were still a really good team, but they didn't do shit, and the Boston Bruins kind of emulate that for me, and I just don't think that, like, they yes, they're a very vet core, but to me, they're just like, I look at their team, and they have an unreal top line. I just don't see it. I don't know. I just don't see it personally. I think I wouldn't be surprised if they go on a tear, still ruin everybody in the regular season, and lose in the first round. And that's my hot take.
That's definitely a very, very hot take.
Yep.
I would bet you a lot of money that Boston does not lose in the first round of the playoffs.
I bet you would have also bet me a lot of money that year the Lightning ran through everybody and then got upset by the Blue Jackets in round 1. So I'm just saying.
What was that? What?
When the Tampa Bay Lightning destroyed everybody that year. They won the President's Trophy by like 30 points and then literally lost to the Blue Jackets, who were the 8th seed in round 1. Dude, anything can happen in playoff hockey, and I just think – I don't know, man. I just don't – I get it. I get the Bruins are wrecking everybody. I don't know. I don't see it until it will happen for me. I don't know.
That's fair. That's fair. Before we do go into this interview with Sean Avery, we do have a couple things to talk about, and one of them is a really sad thing that happened in Long Beach this past week. 18-year-old Garen Hagen, who was a hockey player, high school hockey player for Long Beach High School, and I think played travel for the Long Island Edge and the Gulls, and just a nice kid in the hockey community. Unfortunately, was killed in a crash, and obviously this hits home for us. Growing up playing hockey on Long Island, spent a lot of time in Long Beach. It's just a really sad thing. So we just Cody and I wanted to say that we're thinking of the Hagen family, and anyone who listens to this show that knew him or lives in Long Beach or any of the above. I guess these are hard things to talk about, but Cody and I just wanted to send our love to the family and the Long Beach community. And we heard the moment of silence before the game against Montreal. And, obviously this is just such a tragic thing that happened. And, we're just thinking of all you.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that stuff is always just so sad. It was really nice. They did, a moment of silence yesterday, and obviously, prayers and thoughts out to the family. So
I think I actually saw his sister comment on the Rangers Instagram post, saying this would have made him so happy, the moment of silence and stuff. So, at least, there's always hockey and the Rangers to lean on, in those difficult times that we've all been through, so, but yeah, I know a lot of people, especially us before this podcast, I was feeling pretty tired and, not very productive, and I needed something to kind of get my adrenaline going.
Oh yeah.
And that's why I look to Magic Mind. A lot of times in the podcast, it's hard for me to listen to Cody because he goes on these stupid rants. So
smart rants.
We found the perfect thing, and that's Magic Mind. I'm going to let Cody talk about it as well really quick.
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, consistently working throughout the day, doing these podcasts with you, dealing with you, it's not easy, and it requires a lot of focus and a lot of energy, and it could sometimes be hard to get dialed in. And, I found this little shot, Magic Mind, and it really helps me focus. It really helps me kind of hone in and gets me amped up for these episodes. So yeah, I mean, I love it.
I also, I mean, one more thing to attest to it. I'm one of those guys who wakes up and drinks 3 coffees before I really feel awake. So, this thing has really helped me out a lot. I'm actually going to drink one right now just to show you guys.
Oh, look at him chug that. Well, I actually
a little
drink,
shot.
Yeah. And I drink a ton of coffee too. And I'm trying to wean off of that a little bit. So I'm kind of integrating Magic Mind into my routine here. I'm going morning coffee, and then when I have that 2 p.m. crash, which they say you often get every day, which I do, I started having some Magic Mind shots, and it helps. It helps.
So we love Magic Mind, and if you're into it, go to www.magicmind.co/the Blue Crew. That's www.magicmind.co/the Blue Crew. You get 56% off of your subscription for the next 10 days with our code BLUE20. That's all capital BLUE 20. So go check out the website and go check out Magic Mind, because Cody and I will be taking this probably before every single episode.
Yep. And on that note, let us send it to a great interview with the one and only Sean Avery.
This week on the Blue Crew, we are very happy to have on my favorite player growing up. Looked up to him for a very long time. Number 16 for the Rangers, the most famous third liner in NHL history. Welcome to the show, number 16, Sean Avery. Sean, what's going on, dude? How you doing?
Good, guys. How you guys doing?
It's weird seeing you with the scruff. I've never seen you with a beard before.
Yeah, it's not ideal.
Well, I guess I'll start this off, Aves. Pleasure to have you on. Huge fan, obviously. I know you've been doing some acting, modeling, and a few other endeavors as well since your retirement. But, would love to hear a little bit about what you've been up to lately.
Yeah, I guess now I'm considered a working actor because I get paid to do it, which is very interesting. But I just finished a couple episodes of this new Taylor Sheridan show.
Oh, love Taylor Sheridan.
Called Lioness, which I don't know when it's coming out, but we were in Baltimore shooting that, and now I am waiting to start a new job that I don't know. Sometimes some of these things I'm not allowed to say what I'm.
Yeah. You're just a freelancer.
Yeah.
Do you have your SAG? Do you have your SAG-AFTRA?
I have my SAG card. Yeah.
Right. A fish. I love it.
That's why I have the beard, but I've been doing a lot of jujitsu too, which is pretty fun.
Really?
Yeah, I'm a problem for some guys, so it's fun, but it's very cool. I highly recommend it to anyone.
And it looks like you have a mini Tiger Woods on your hands. I saw that video of your son playing golf the other day. That was a fucking sick putt. That was nasty.
He is probably the best 2-year-old golfer, I think, in the game.
Handicap.
I don't know. It's pretty wild. He watches it on TV a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he sinks like 20, 30-foot putts, no problem. And he hits 100 balls a couple times a week. He chips out of the sand. It's pretty wild.
And he's 2?
That's insane.
I don't know. I think I would rather him play golf than probably anything else. If he's going to be good at something, golf would be the one I'd want him to be good at.
Mm-hmm. Super chill for you. Yeah.
Yeah, seriously. But I guess tell us a little bit about, transitioning to hockey here, what it was like going undrafted, getting invited to that first camp with Detroit. I think you were at the Traverse City tournament where you eventually landed that contract and getting signed. So, would love to hear a little bit about that.
Oh, what's interesting now is like, and I've watched some of the rookie tournaments now compared to, I guess this was probably 2000. In 2000, it was like a bloodbath. It was like a war. You went into these things, certainly I did, undrafted, playing with first rounders, second rounders. And back then, like, the signing bonus for a first rounder was $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
Now I think they all get the same amount of money. Maybe there's $20,000 or $30,000 difference between like 8 rounds. But yeah, I didn't get drafted. I think size was an issue. Maybe they thought that I wasn't big enough, or maybe they thought that I was, I had a bad attitude or whatever it was. I don't know. But I remember going into camp, that first rookie camp, really just not giving a fuck about anything.
Nothing to lose.
Yeah, exactly. I don't even think it was a nothing to lose mentality. It was like, I'm going in there to take everything I can. It was just, like one of those things, because here's the funny thing. I people put so much stock into the draft, but me not getting drafted was the best thing that ever happened to me, because for some reason I ended up deciding or finding my way to Detroit's camp, which was the best thing that could ever happen to me, because I got to play with those guys on really one of the best teams I think ever assembled. I think the way that I played was sort of embraced by that organization and by that team, even the guys running the team, from Ken Holland to Jim Devlano to even Scotty, even Bowman when I first started playing for the team. So I think it was kind of a perfect storm. I never really apologized for anything. I just went out and played hard, and yeah, I mean, at that age, like, I just tried to fuck shit up as much as possible.
Yeah. You did get the nickname the puppy from them, right? Because you jumped in calling yourself the A-Dog. That was great.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. There's so many stories that I don't even like remember half of them. I can hear like guys go on podcasts and they tell old stories about shit that happened in the dressing room, and I don't remember anything.
Doobie told us a funny story when he came on here. He was talking about how Tom Rennie drew something up for video in Florida one time when you were on a line with him and Yager, And like 2 minutes after video, you walked over to him and you're like, "Hey, Doobie, fuck that shit. Here's what we're doing." And then Yager, after you spoke to Doobie, was like, "Nah, fuck what Sean said. Here's what we're doing." And then Doobie ended up listening to Yager instead. But that's one of the stories he told on here.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. I mean,
but I definitely want to ask you just, your initial thoughts on being traded to New York, because, I was like a, 10 to 15-year-old kid when you were here. And it's not like I definitely admired your playing style, but every time you were on the ice, it was, what's Sean going to do? Like, he can get this crowd on their feet, with a goal, with a fight, with a hit, with anything. You did it all. So can you just talk about the mentality you took into New York and just, what made the city fall so much in love with you? Because seriously, like, we're in 2023 now, and there's still a lot of Avery jerseys around MSG every night.
Yeah, I mean, I think the city was a different city at that point too. Like 2006, 2000 to 2012 in New York was incredible. Like, it's a much different city now. It's actually a completely different city. Like 2006 to 12, Giuliani, and then I think maybe a little bit of that was Bloomberg. The city was safe. The city was, you still felt like New York had New Yorkers, and you felt the vibe of what it meant to be a Ranger, what it meant to be a Ranger fan, who the people you were playing for are. Like, not the suits. The suits are always there, the Wall Street guys. That's part of it for sure. But the people that come in on the train from Long Island or Jersey, up in Westchester, wherever. It's just a different animal. And I think it was the first place that definitely the majority were supportive of, like, the shit show that I was getting.
You were a showman.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that building is meant for showmen. That building has a special aura, especially before the renovation. There was even more of a vibe there. But I played for New Yorkers. Like, I think that was something that I always played into. And also, we had a great owner and a great general manager who gave me a lot of rope. Like, a lot of people want to bag on Mr. Dolan or on Slats, but those are two of the best guys you could ever work for.
Yeah, totally. And bouncing off of that a little bit, I mean, I'm sure being in New York City as an athlete was unreal, especially when you were part of the team. What was the typical, vibe night out like after a game? And did that mood change, like whether it was a win or a loss? Because as a fan, when we lose, I'm like ready to put my hand through a wall. So
yeah, well, the good thing about New York is, and being an athlete, is if you want to blow off steam or you want to just celebrate, there's, I think we would still go to the same place. But yeah, I mean, I didn't sleep for 5 years for sure. And I remember, like, the off season was sort of a quieter time when we would, but oh man, during the season and certainly those years, it was pretty wild. I don't think there was anyone that could keep up with, as far as like previous athletes or current athletes. Like, I never saw the Knicks or the Yankees or at places that I went to. Like, it was a whole different level of, man, we had a lot of fun. And I had a couple of guys that, were good running mates, and guys would jump in every once in a while. And it was a dangerous time. I mean, you could never go home if you didn't want to.
Just some Sean Avery hat tricks.
I was going to say, Hank ever go out with you guys?
Yeah. Every once in a while you get Hank out, and like, he's a different animal. Like, his level of preparation but he was always good for one every once in a while. And when he went, he'd go pretty hard, That was a young Hank, kids still, no kids yet, but it was always fun getting him out. Yeah. It was always like the guys that had kids that lived out in Westchester that came in, and like, then they just go missing for 2 days.
I'm trying to think, like, who's the most random Ranger that like was the funnest guy to party?
Probably Ryan Holloway. If you wound that clock up, It was dangerous.
Oh yeah. I want to ask about one specific game too that I remember pretty distinctly as a kid. I made my dad get tickets actually when you were on the Stars and you returned to Madison Square Garden. We've seen throughout the years a lot of Rangers that become ex-Rangers come back to MSG and they thrive and they play well and they seem to get up a little bit more for those games. But that night you stepped on the ice in warmups and the fans were like chanting your name. It was fucking sick. Like the atmosphere was incredible. Can you just talk about coming back to New York as an ex-Ranger and what those games kind of mean to an athlete? Because we see these guys thrive every time they come back.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't think anybody blamed me for leaving because
signed a pretty good deal.
Yeah, but Slats always like to overpay guys that shouldn't have got overpaid, and the guys that like I think the previous year he let Colton Orr go to Toronto and he signed Donald Brashear or something. He always made these weird. I don't think anyone blamed me for the situation, but I think what's interesting is I think that same year I ended up playing Dallas, or maybe it was the following year. I think it was the same year. Maybe Dallas
when you came back to the Rangers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we like lit them up, and I had 4 points. That I don't know. It was such a wild time leaving and then coming back, and then obviously everything that happened to bring me back. It seemed like it took forever. It was really only a matter of like months. I mean, I think I started the season in Dallas and I was playing for New York maybe by January or even December. I can't remember. But yeah, it was a savior coming back for sure.
That's awesome. So you truly became immortalized in the NHL. Once they created the Avery rule for that screen on Brodeur, and then not only that, but you scored on him. How easy was it for you each game, like no matter how big the moment, to always just block out any type of noise and keeping that tough guy, hard-nosed style of hockey?
I always liked it noisier. I think it got quiet when it got really noisy for me. Like I wish every game was a playoff game. There's just some guys that can embrace that or it's interesting, but that rivalry with Brodeur was great. And they, just the origin story of it, which was my first game and like playing for the Rangers and going to New Jersey and how close it was. And, it was all so new to me. But what I realized right off the bat was like, these two teams don't like each other. There's obviously a long history here. I watched 94 and I remember those years. And I remember watching the Devils almost destroy hockey with the Trap in the early 2000s. So like I knew that there was something rooted there. And I don't know, that first game I was just like, I don't like these fucking guys. Maybe I'm going to ignite something that's been laying dormant for a few years.
You lit that series up too. I think you scored in like, what would it go, 5 games? I think you scored in at least 4 of them, right?
I think that first year, yeah. We played great against them, and they had a good team. But something about going into that building and being filled with Ranger fans more than fans, and it's like similar to the Islanders games, but we're just closer. It's New Jersey,
Yeah, makes sense.
I want to build off that too. Like, with that rivalry, like you said, the Devils, the Islanders, are there any games, from your time in New York that you could think of off the top of your head that you'd want to, relive or either just change the outcome of?
Yeah. I mean, I remember speaking of Ryan Hallweg, the Chris Simon / Hallweg, that game in Long Island, that was a pretty wild game.
That was fucking crazy.
Yeah, crazy. That Coliseum was such a shithole, and
it was so bad.
At some point, I don't know. It was the first year that I was there. We had to win a bunch of games to make the playoffs, and we went on kind of like a run. I don't know. We won like 14-17 or something, but I think it would probably be the Buffalo overtime. Drury scored an OT to win it.
Oh yeah.
And I think that tied the series. And then we went back to Buffalo and lost. I don't know. There's a lot of games, you know. We had those Rennie years, like we had a really good team. Like I think, you know, Nylander. People don't understand how good Michael Nylander was. Like if Nylander played in the NHL today, he would be, man, oh man, he would rip this league up.
Yeah. Well, his kid Willie is right now.
Yeah, yeah. But even his dad is such a better player than a different player. I mean, it's all relative, but I mean, I remember those two kids coming out every single day after practice and shooting pucks. They had to have been 9 or 10, but he was a great player. He was a great player to play with. But no, there were so many games, man. So many games.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so many of your all-time stories obviously came out in the book you wrote, but you know, what's maybe one crazy untold story most people wouldn't know about?
I think there was one time, like, I'm pretty sure
Stories are mixed up.
No, there was like I had a meeting with Tortorella where I think I told him I was gonna fucking kill him. I think I said, like, don't look in my direction anymore, or I'm gonna fucking kill you. Like, I mean, like I'm just fucking ship bag you in your. I'm gonna throw.
Do you guys keep in touch at all, or no? There's no contact.
No.
Yeah, I figured.
I'm not. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe he has relationships with previous players on the previous teams, but I don't think there was anyone that. I think the majority of guys that play for him can't stand him.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you asked Vinsky about him, but I think he would take a fucking axe to his head.
And he played for him for a long ass time too, because he had him in Columbus also.
Yeah.
But you know, something I really want to ask you also, since you know you're very involved in media, you have your own podcast, No Gruffs Given. You know, you have in the past made comments on current NHL games and stuff like that. Do you think you would have like thrived in today's era of the NHL with media being so relevant and around, or are you happy you came up in the era that you played in?
I mean, who knows? You know,
Yeah.
like I thought about it a lot over the last couple of years because I've obviously been very opinionated about coronavirus and the vaccines, and I think the current day NHL player is a little bit of a listen. I think that it's very surprising to me that not one player over the last 2 years has stood up and said, like, what the fuck is happening here? And what are they making us do? And what are they making us take? And this is all a circus. And can't anybody see how bad this is? And this is like a psyop. Because I would have loved to have been the one that said it. You know, much like we bet how quickly Kyrie Irving. There's a couple of guys in the NFL that kind of made a stance, but like no one in the NHL ever said anything.
No, it's a good point. Not one.
Yeah, but Tyler Bertuzzi was a little outspoken, I feel like. I feel like he's the one guy.
Well, he did it. It was interesting, and he did it the way that, you know, Steve Yzerman probably wanted it done. He was just like, fuck it, I'm not taking it. And I just won't go to Canada. I liked how he did it. I would have done it much different, where I would have stood on a milk carton with a megaphone and been like, do you guys not see what's happening here? And why would we take this shit? So, yeah, I mean, people might go, what is Sean talking about right now? I've been very outspoken about it for the last 2 years.
For sure.
It's all criminal and people are now dying from it. I mean, how many people have died in the last 2 weeks? I mean, I don't know. Lisa Marie Presley, it's like heart attack, cardiac arrest. That football player, guys out of the hospital already. I mean, there's a lot of shady shit going on right now, and it would have been fun to play. It would have been fun to be on the center stage when so much turmoil was surrounding us. You know, even from a political standpoint, I can't stand both parties at this point, but I'm definitely more of I'm a conservative. I'm a conservative, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, makes me a Republican, but our Republicans are just as bad as the Democrats. They're just not smart. Politicians are not smart. They're not. They're regular people. They're like referees. You know, they couldn't become players, so they became a referee, and that's what politics. Anyone can be a politician. You just have to be a citizen and be able to be a big enough snake. You know, to bring it back. Yeah, I would have loved. I would have loved to have. But that's evolution. You know, I think. Really give a shit about anything outside of playing. So, but also we didn't have any of these external forces trying to like shut our lives down or dictate how our lives were lived.
I was thinking more along the lines that you would have been like the NHL's Pete Davidson.
I mean, I just didn't. These age celebrities are so.
I mean, you're a way better looking guy than him, but you know.
Yeah, don't give him that.
Yeah, I'm not trying to compare you looks wise to Pete Davidson.
No, I actually was. I used to train with a guy that had a gym out here, Gunnar Peterson. He moved to Nashville a couple months ago, but Pete and Kim would come in sometimes and work out. And the first time that they were in there working out, I came in and he had his shirt off, and I was like, "Dude, put your fucking shirt on." What's wrong with you?
Did he know you?
No idea. I mean,
really?
Oh my God, that's amazing.
He told him he knew afterwards because I told him to put his fucking shirt on, and I was disgusted by him. Like I looked at what is wrong with you? I don't give a shit. You're working out with Kim Kardashian. She's fucking 5'1". She doesn't even look like Kim Kardashian in real life. Put your fucking shirt on. And I went to the bathroom. And by the time I came out of the change room, he was gone, and she was still working out. So he must have, I don't know what he did. He must have said to her, like,
I'm out of here. Fuck that guy.
Yeah, getting out of here. Whatever. It was, So that's what you're dealing with a guy like Pete Davidson.
Not where I thought we were going with this interview, but that's good shit.
But it's what we wanted. All right, I guess my last question for you is a fun one here. I need to know about the time you and Brett Hull took weed gummies at his house and what unfolded.
Yeah, I didn't take them. I had them in the fridge, and we left them in the fridge, and we had a game, and we went out. And Holly came back from the game, and he came home, and I guess the sweet tooth was calling him, and he went into the fridge and he ate one of these cookies. And man, oh man, I mean, I don't know. Back then they weren't like, now you can walk into a store and say, "Oh, let's get the mild cookie or the super potent cookie."
Right.
Back then, there was no in between. It was like this woman that used to make them on a farm in Sarnia, Ontario, that we used to buy them from, and they were deadly. So we came home from after the game and going out that night, and went to bed. And I got up in the morning. I used to always have to start the car and get the car warm for the King. And Darcy, his wife, came down and she's like, "I don't know what's wrong with Brett. He's been rolling around in the closet all night."
Oh my God.
And I drove the car to practice that day. And I had no idea what was going on because whatever. When I got out of practice, and it was man, I can remember that car ride. He was so waxed. He was just like twisted still 10 hours later. So high. And I got out of practice and my phone, we had cell phones. They weren't like text message cell phones at this point. This is 2002. And I had a bunch of missed calls. And it was my buddy Will who went down into the kitchen, into the fridge, and he's like, "Dude, somebody ate one of the cookies." And it all clicked. And I don't think I told Holly for a few years. I just was scared because
oh man,
he had smoked pot for 17 years at that point, since he had started playing in the NHL or pro. But he was the most high I've ever seen somebody, maybe, and especially to not know that you're high and be that high. What a terrible trick to play on someone. So that was
it's fucked up.
That was a good one,
That's
man.
awesome.
So I guess my final question, New York, obviously, Ranger related. I know you like lived here and you said your heart was always here, right? Like, I don't know if that's still the case now that you're out in LA and you're doing your thing, but what do you miss the most just about, being an athlete, like on the biggest stage, in the brightest lights? Like it's gotta be such a hard thing to, find again, right? Like that drug, that high, that feeling of being here.
No, I mean, I don't think that, no, I mean, if I walk the streets of New York, like I definitely don't go unnoticed, you know.
Yeah.
What I mean?
My buddy actually got me or got you to send me a video once. Like he saw you like on my birthday and you like did a video with him for me.
Yeah. I think man, I just hope New York like gets back to New York, This fucking mayor all these just jokers running that city into the ground. I mean, that city used to be the thing you used to love about New York. You would see in videos is the beautiful vignette of cab drivers yelling at each other, right? Or people yelling at each other on the street. But the moment something popped off, like a mugger, you would get tackled by like 10 different people, The bodega guy would come out. Somebody would get out of their car. Two of the construction workers from the construction site that was New York, Like my favorite movie of all time is 25th Hour, which I think is Spike Lee's best movie.
Yeah, that's a great one.
I hope New York gets that back because that's what that city has been for 100 years, longer than that, since like mid 1800s, gangs of New York. The city's out of control now. It's being desecrated. Literally, people are shitting and pissing all so
yeah, it's crazy.
Everything goes in waves. You guys were too young to see, to really remember when it was great. But it is a great city, and I hope that it finds its way back to that,
We need you back.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is now it's two extremes. I left because I had to leave because I had to come to California and do the California thing for work. But I was going to kill somebody. Now I come back and like I'm a martial artist now, and I don't give a fuck whether people shoot each other on the corner. I'm not concerned with it.
You wouldn't break out the jiu-jitsu if you saw someone.
I don't care. I'll let them stab each other and shoot each other and burn the place down, as long as it's not in my 5-foot window.
Yeah. I was gonna say it definitely was great back in the day. And my good buddy Paul actually said I think it was like 2011 or something. He actually ended up spending New Year's with you at Tiny's. He said you were at Tiny's bar, like shooting darts or something like that. And he said you were a stand-up guy. Obviously you are, and we miss you at New York for sure. So
well, I'll be back at some point. I just hope it gets cleaned up before I come back. Otherwise, I'm not going to do it. But
take out one at a time.
Yeah. Maybe I'll come back and run for mayor.
Yeah, I mean, you get at least 1 million votes from Ranger fans. That's for sure.
I could win the mayor's race in New York, no problem.
We'll take your word for it.
We'll add for you, no problem. But Aves, you're the man, and so greatly appreciated for coming on. Obviously.
Thanks, guys. Good luck with the show, and let's go Rangers, baby.
Thanks, Sean.
Go.
Appreciate it.
All right, guys.
Later. Have a good one. Thank you. We want to thank Sean Avery once again for coming on. Like we both said, like one of our favorite players growing up, and it was so cool to talk to him. And we hope you guys enjoyed that.
Yeah, he was great, and man, that beard, he rocks it. He rocks it, and I'm definitely super excited for his show Lioness by my boy Taylor Sheridan. For those of you who don't know, Taylor Sheridan created Yellowstone, the spinoff Sicario. He's a gem, so I'm sure that show is gonna be really good. That being said, time to go to this week's draft, and we have a really good one, a 3-round draft for the top go-to drunk foods. I think I got to go with the obvious one here, and I think I'm going to go with pizza. Like, there's literally nothing.
Well, are we doing? Let's do specifics. No.
I mean, we can, but if you're not in the city, it might be tough. But
yeah, it's true.
Ones, but I'll go with. We could do both. I'll go with pizza, and there's nothing like a good old artichoke slice of pizza, or just grabbing like one of the dollar slices. You're super drunk, you're super hungover, whatever it is, like there's nothing like pizza. So,
dude, I'm trying to think of my favorite pizza when I'm drunk. Like the specific spots really get you. Like, I mean, I guess Joe's pizza is so good. Trying to think what else. Like
Joe's is classic.
Prince Street Pizza. Like no matter what point you're at, Little Vincent's in Huntington. Like there's so many good drunk pizza spots.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the basic, and I don't know if you'll agree with me here because like. I think everyone's different when it comes to this, but I love drunk sushi. Like I am all for
couldn't disagree more.
Like after a day drink,
that's your first pick.
That's my first pick. Yeah,
wow.
And this is disgusting, but
it is disgusting.
This is just something that I do after like a good Saturday day drink. I typically order this from this place Mizu, Mizu, and I get a sushi platter for 2, and I eat the whole thing to myself.
Nice.
It's disgusting.
Yeah. It sounds disgusting. I think next week.
No, like the sushi, it's good. It's disgusting that I do it.
Oh, okay. I think next week we need to do best hangover foods.
That's a good one too.
Yeah. All right. For my second pick, this is a tough one, but I'm gonna go Shake Shack.
That's a good one.
Yeah. I'm gonna go Shake Shack. Nothing like a good drunk burger. And
Shake Shack over 5 guys.
Yeah, any of them, any of the burger shake. Fries, all the greasy foods. So
I might actually go with a Chipotle burrito.
Dude, how are you not going with Taco Bell? I don't understand.
Taco Bell isn't like my go-to. It's just the easiest. Like it's late. Like, okay, so this whole I think draft stemmed from my 3 a.m. Taco Bell this past weekend, but
it did.
But like that's because it was my only option. Like, if this was like 3 in the afternoon, like I'm getting a Chipotle burrito over ordering Taco Bell, But kudos to drunk me because I got home at 3 a.m. and I ordered the Taco Bell and I set an alarm and it's still on my phone for 3:21 because that's when it said the food was coming. And typically I usually don't wake back up for the food. I just fall asleep and they leave the food at the door and I don't eat it and I just waste $20. But snaps for drunk me for actually waking up and getting the food and eating it and going to bed at like 4 a.m.
Proud of you.
Proud of myself.
Okay. My last pick, and this is actually this might be the best one. I'm going with Halal Guys.
Yeah, I mean that's just fucking goated.
That just hits the spot every single time, and I think when you take that first bite, it's just with the white sauce, like you're just in heaven. All right, what's your last pick?
This might be a sleeper, and it's only I think in like certain places. I don't know. Have you ever had Jimmy John's? No.
Okay, we're just gonna pretend Johnny didn't say
Wait,
that.
Have you had it?
I've had Jimmy John's.
Oh, I don't know. It's not everywhere, but dude, Jimmy John's.
There's like Jimmy John's is in like every state ever.
I don't think there's any in Long Island.
Dude, there for sure is because
I also haven't seen one in the city.
There's definitely a Jimmy John's in the city.
I haven't seen
Jimmy John's in Hoboken. There's Jimmy
but they're not everywhere. I've only seen them like really.
All right,
like in other states. Yeah, are you googling this? I'm curious.
I have to.
Yeah,
Jimmy John. Oh. A trending search is how many Jimmy John's are there in the U.S.? 2,700 locations across 43 states, including New York as one of those states. Okay. So
I stand corrected.
Stands corrected.
But Jimmy John's is fucking amazing.
One. That's a good one.
And it's so quick.
Yeah. I mean, their sandwiches are crack. It's like the, it's a major upgrade over Subway. No slight to Subway because I used to love Subway back in the day. That was like my go-to, dude. Getting like a foot-long Subway sandwich and just housing down the whole thing, like the meatball subs.
I was a Quiznos guy.
Dude, Quiznos was good too. Or, throwback. Remember Blimpies?
I never had Blimpies.
Oh, it was before your time.
I just lived right near a Quiznos, so I was at Quiznos.
Yeah. All right, well, That being said, last part of today's show, dude, we have the Blue Jacket. By the time this is recording, Blue Jackets will have been over. Hopefully this game is, an easy win for us. I'm going with 4-1 Rangers. I hope we match that energy. And then just real quick, we have a huge gut test on Thursday against the Bruins. I would love for this team to just shut Boston up and find a way to beat this team. That being said, as much as I want to say the Rangers are going to win this game, and we are home, so I want to say we'll find a way to win, but I'm going to go, and I do think it's going to be competitive. I'm going to go 3-2 Bruins. How about you for both?
For Columbus, man, I think they're going to lose both.
Oh my God! Don't do that to us. 3-game losing streak.
Well, I think this stomach bug thing could just could actually be bigger than it's really been talked about. So I think Columbus could get them like on a back-to-back, kind of feeling sick. I think Columbus wins like 3-2.
Dude, Columbus is no
horrendous.
Dude, they are the worst team in the league besides the Blackhawks. There's no way.
The Rangers just lost to another horrible team last night, and there's stomach bug going on, and Halak's probably starting in this game.
I think we're going to smoke them. But
all right, yeah, I'm saying 3-2 Columbus.
I bet Johnny Gaudreau is regretting that decision now. But
he actually, I think something came out that he's like he doesn't regret it at all.
Oh, okay, all right. I see.
And for Boston, I'm gonna go 5-2 Bruins.
Yikes! That's rude. That was literally the score of the last game.
Was it?
Yeah, it was 3-2. It was really close, and then we pulled the goalie, and didn't they score 2?
I thought
or something like that, or they scored and then we pulled the goalie and then they scored again. I think that
you're probably right.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I think.
All right. Well, I'm a little more optimistic than Johnny here, but anyways, I know this was a little long one today, but we love you guys, and thank you all, and LFGR.